Fantastic.
Oh, wait, is the broadcast just live now? It just said the broadcast is live. Has it not been live? I don't know what's happening, Rick. I'm going to assume that
No, it hasn't been live. I didn't hit the second live button.
Okay, this is our producer, Davine, just popped on the scene. Now,
right.
Davine, I have a line written in the script that says, Davine is here to keep me from messing up. And I guess that's because you're going to do all the messing up for me.
Yeah, I'll be back when the time is right.
Are we? I hope we recorded the intro at least. I'm going to assume we did, because we have the countdown and everything. So, anyways, Rick, let me make sure I'm doing my intro properly here. I've got like last week's notes in front of me all of a sudden. I'm not sure why. Oh, because you and I chatted in between the notes. So. Rick, we're without a co-host this week. Last week we had Bruce Wallace, and I invited him to come back this week, but he couldn't make it. I kind of invited him last minute.
Yeah, that's all right. All right.
We got
a lot of talk. We got a lot to talk about. So
yeah, we do. You and I have a special adventure that we'll get to, and also we do have a tertiary host, Luis, who joins us whenever he can. But for the past 2 weeks, he's been doing interpreting for the city of Asheville. He's an interpreter, and so
a very noble excuse.
Exactly. I did tell him to tell the city to take a hike. He's got a podcast to do, but I don't know. He didn't respond to that text. And as I said, we've got our usual producer, Davine Dial from WPVM, and she's going to keep the show running smoothly. And Rick, now tonight I want to, for the last 2 episodes, in the agenda, the written agenda, I have said that I'm going to talk about my encounter with celebrity chef Robert Irvine.
Yes.
And I haven't done that.
And I think tonight's the night.
Tonight is the night. It's just like, isn't there a song?
Rod Stewart, baby.
I thought that was Neil Young. Maybe they're two different.
It is Neil Young.
Okay. Do not confuse Rod Stewart and Neil Young, brother.
They'd make a good duet.
I have to fight you over that one right there. Well, duet, sure. Let's hear that. Yeah. They got very contrasting.
They're both
voices.
Balladeers, so we'll leave it at that.
Rick, we should do a whole nother podcast called Two Old Geezers Talk About Music.
I would be all over that, man.
So, yeah, this week I'm for sure going to talk about Robert Irvine. I had the celebrity chef from Dinner Impossible was in town, and I had a run-in with him at the Asheville Food Truck Rally, and he's just as big and angry and muscle-bound in real life as he is on television. And he came
but
right
you survived
at me.
it.
I did.
He came right at you?
He came right at me. There's photographic evidence of him coming right at me. And he also yelled at me from across the parking lot and told me to choose wisely. Choose wisely. Because I was choosing some desserts. I was there to judge desserts. But anyways, that's a different story. It's a story, not a different story. It's the same story, but I'm going to tell it at the end of the show. We're going to do our regular show, and then I shall regale the audience and you, Rick, with my Robert Irvine encounter.
Fantastic. I'm excited. I haven't heard anything about it. You've been mum's the word on it, so I haven't
really
heard.
Oh, okay.
I saw pictures. I saw you like pretending to drink beer, and I thought that was funny. And yeah.
I got
and I remember it was hot as hell. So.
Oh my God, it was brutal. Yeah, that's part of the story. Is how
things
hot
you do
was.
For your craft.
They tell me they want me to come judge food. I judge food. It could be a blizzard. It could be a nuclear holocaust, and I'm there. One year, the Mardi Gras Society asked me to come judge floats, and I assumed they were going to be Sunday floats, like root beer floats and whatnot, like for real. That's what I thought. And so I show up to the river. And they're actually these, not even just parade floats. They're they float down the river on these things. And I had to be there all day in the broiling hot sun, judging these damn floats that were floating by. And all I wanted was a root beer float, more than anything in the world. Yeah. And I was
hopefully you had sunscreen.
There were trees. There were
Okay.
trees, so yeah, there was some respite from the sun. But yeah, that. Now I've learned when people say, "Come judge something that sounds like food, but could be a shoe," for all I know, I double check. So, anyways, we'll talk about Robert Irvine at the end of the show, and
Fantastic.
and how he came at me. But let's start the show like we always do, Rick, with an exciting segment, our oldest segment. It predates the show, in fact.
It is. It's prehistoric.
It is, and that is our pterodactyl wing segment. Like how I rolled right into the prehistoric ad lib. That's our wing thing. We do a wing thing. Our show started with just me and Rick talking about chicken wings for half hour, and then we expanded it to an hour of talking about everything. But we still talk about chicken wings every episode. And last week,
now look at us, Stewie. We work with celebrities.
we do. We work with Davine Dial, the biggest celebrity. We just found out that she runs a classy bordello. Is that what she said in the pre-show? Boudoir, bordello. I can't remember which it was.
Yes, bordello. Yes,
Bordello,
but not
okay.
really.
No, it's
All right.
boudoir.
It was boudoir. Okay, I knew it was one or the other. It's fancy.
That was awesome.
It's fancy either way.
Purple.
Yeah. Purple.
Patrician.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. All right, so wing thing. Now, Rick, a couple of weeks in a row, I haven't had any wings except for the wings that actually came on a whole chicken. And I did that again
And not
this
just
week.
any chicken, but a nanny's rotisserie chicken, which is
That's right.
like chicken superpower stuff. So that's.
Did you get one yet?
Well, I've had plenty. Yeah, they're.
Oh, you
amazing.
have? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Somebody I was telling was like, I got to get one. Maybe it was Luis. No, it was Bruce last week. Was like, I got
Okay, yeah, Bruce would be all over that. So.
Yeah, Bruce texted me last night and was like, can you remind me which restaurant was it? It was a restaurant we talked about on the air. Can you remind me what that was? I want to bring my wife. And I told him what it was. I was like, this guy I want to have on the show as a return guest because he's like that interested in food,
Oh, he loves food. Yeah, you could tell.
So anyways, but this week for our wing thing, Rick, you and I went on a special adventure together.
We did. Like a food fan podcast field trip.
It was awesome. You rolled up to my house in the short yellow bus. And I piled on. I had a permission slip from my mom. And I got on and we went on a field trip. And why don't you take it from there, Rick? Why don't you talk about what we did and where we went? What we ate?
Yeah. We went to Ground Zero. We went to the Deli Llama food truck at Catawba Brewing on the South Slope of Asheville. So Chef Chassie Edwards and her lovely wife, Erica, and I can't remember their employee's name who takes the orders. They're wonderful as usual, but they had the most amazing wings today. They had a buffalo chow chow wing. Now, for people who aren't in the South or from the South, chow chow is this wonderful relish, and it's usually a mixture of like onions and peppers, some sweet, some hot. Maybe I've even seen people put some like bits of pickle or cucumber in there. If you're from the Midwest, it'd be similar, less busy version of giardiniera. So it's a tangy relish, and it's wonderful on everything. And they did a ranch dressed spiced dry rub on these wings with a buffalo sauce, and then with ranch dressing, and then topped with and also including chow chow, sort of chow chow flavors, and then dressed with pickled Vidalia onions and peppers, and it was so amazing. Like, all of their wings are amazing. They are the best. They are my favorite specialty wings in Asheville, period. Hands down.
Rick, I made it official on Facebook. I told the world that you and I consider the Deli Llama food truck wing. They do a wing thing Thursday, which is just coincidentally named the same thing as our wing thing segment, and that happened on the same week. Like, we came up.
It's like our sister city.
That's what we call it, Rick. It's so great. And we went on a rare visit to our sister city. and we saw our sisters there, and they hooked us up
They
with
hooked us
those.
up. Oh, and I have a prop.
Oh, you
I
do?
have some
Oh,
Deli Llama hot sauce that Chaz gave both Stu and I, the mini version, and it is wonderful. The llama spit. So the great thing about this, it's pretty hot, but the first ingredient is sweet potatoes,
yes.
and that is the difference.
Yeah, because it's got a lot of flavor, not just heat, and
Yes.
it also has a viscosity to it. It's not just.
And as Erica
liquid.
described it, it's like hand sanitizer for your mouth.
That's great. She could write reviews.
Yeah.
So yeah, they hooked it up, gave us each a little nipper bottle on the llama spit.
And
I
may have hooked them up with a little bacon, but yeah.
Yeah, so those wings were fantastic, and they came with some French fries, and the fries, they were crinkle cut fries, and they were cooked crispy but not dry, and they were seasoned, and they were real good. And of course, she's got the best, Chef Jessie got the best crudité in Western North Carolina as far as I'm concerned. Like, I'll compare it to any crudité. Should have a whole crudité festival, Rick.
Yeah.
And a throwdown, a crudité throwdown.
And the stuff we had today had zucchini in it. That was wonderful.
Yeah. I had like a little cabbage mix too with it.
Yeah. Shredded cabbage.
It's like a little salad
radish,
almost.
Carrots.
Today verged on salad. Like it was almost like a little salad. But I still classify it as crudité because it came with the wings. And so, yeah, Deli Llama food truck, they're parked at Catawba Brewing on the South Slope every Thursday. And I think other days of the week too, but Thursday is their wing.
Thursday through Sundays, I think. So,
okay. And Thursday is the wing day. So,
yeah.
So you and I had not had the same wings on the same week in a long time, Rick. We used to have a thing where we would have a wing assignment.
What was it, East Village Bar and Grill we did on your porch back, before we were vaccinated.
So, that's the last time we had them in person, or the last time we had the same wing on the same week?
Same wing on the same week. Well, really? I don't know. That was the last time we had them in person, I think.
Okay. Yeah, but we used to assign a wing to each other, and then we would make that happen by hook or by crook. And then it was like
the world has gotten so much bigger since those days.
Right? Because we started it during the COVID shutdown.
Yep.
It was like one of my coping mechanisms.
The pre-vaccine days, yes.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of that, like we're segue into this. Next week, we're hoping to have you. Well, I don't know if it'll happen next week. We'll see. But you suggested a guest in the future who has some COVID year stories. And I thought, wow, what a great series of topics that is for chefs.
It would be.
And
I did reach out to her tonight, so we'll see what she says. So
okay, good.
I won't drop any names until we know for sure.
Yeah, for sure. We don't want to jinx it. So. Knock on wood.
And she's fabulous, so I hope she says yes.
I do too. And it spurred the idea that, well, why don't we just ask a lot of chefs to come on and tell us how they shifted and moved during the COVID year, because a lot of people found huge success and happiness during the COVID year.
Sure. They force change, and how you move with it. So yeah, we can call it the pandemic survival segment.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll add it as a segment to our agenda.
There you go. So.
Rick, do you think it's funny that I write up an agenda every week?
No, I think it's a good idea because I forget sometimes.
Yeah, so. And you see, I forget even with the agenda, so I need something to keep me grounded. So let's see. Next week, I don't want to I'm hesitant to commit to a wing for next week because I'm not sure what all's going on. But you know what? I'm going to a special. Let's go right into the food news. I don't know if that's next on our agenda, but let's
do it.
Go right into it, because tomorrow I'm going to the press opening of the S&W cafeteria building downtown.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that. The food
Where's
hall.
Davey? You going to be there tomorrow, Davey?
I came because I'm so jealous.
Oh, because you're not going to be there. How come you don't get? You're the president and owner of an important radio station. How come you don't get invited to these events?
I don't know, but I'm going to find
Can't
out.
you make yourself a press pass and just show up and be like,
I have press pass. Yeah, actually, I
just
could.
show up.
I should show up with you.
You could, if Dawn wasn't in town. I have a +1, and it's Dawn. But if she wasn't in town, you'd be on my arm, Davine, for sure.
Well, that's my favorite building in town. So that's
mine too.
And
Davine, you crashed that party.
Pardon?
You crashed that party.
You're such an instigator, Rich. You're such an instigator. Well, we had some really delicious meals at the S&W. Stu and I did.
We did.
And so I'm really glad they're back.
Yeah. And there's going to be like a chicken place. Elliot Moss is going to have a fried chicken stand in there. From what I understand, I'm not the best at figuring out all the details of stuff before it opens. Other people have sleuthed that out and interviewed the chefs and stuff. But I'm just like, you give me a call when the kitchen is up and running, and then I'll come and I'll learn everything there is about the menu. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but I'm hoping there'll be some chicken wings is where I'm going with that.
All right.
Davine, you brought up those wonderful meals we had at the S&W, and that's back when it was a Greek place for half a second.
That pistachio with dark chocolate.
Yeah. That's what I was hoping you'd mention.
Like a sorbet, or what was it?
No.
It wasn't an ice cream. It was a firm kind of, it wasn't a custard. It wasn't a cake.
No.
I don't know what it was, but
like a paste,
it's one of the best things you can make. It wasn't heavy enough to be marzipan. I would say it would be in between a custard and a marzipan, somewhere in the middle of those two textures.
Wow.
And it was a wonderful pistachio flavor with this incredibly delicious chocolate shell on it.
Dark chocolate, hard shell, and you'd crack into it and it would kind of ooze out a little bit, and it was bright green.
Goodness.
And at first I was like, Davine was like, you got to try this dessert. And I was like, okay, all right. It just looked like a big hard ball. And I thought it was just going to have cake inside. My expectations were super low, but I trust Davine to know what's good. So I was like, let's do it. And cracked into it. And this stuff inside was phenomenal. And you know what, Davine? It's one of the foods that I will carry through my whole life and be like, I'll never eat that again because the place closed.
And he went back to Greece. He said that if his restaurant didn't make it, he was going to go back to Greece.
And he went back, and we're still friends on Facebook. And he posts all these fabulous pictures of himself on the beach in Greece and stuff.
Get that recipe from him.
Oh, maybe, he wasn't the chef. He was the manager. And Chef Alex Bax still lives in Asheville. And he runs a food truck called Feta Flav. It's like a Greek food truck, like Flava Flav, but Feta Flav.
Where is this? Where did they set up?
You should follow him on Facebook because he's kind of new and looking for places to set up. So he's doing the thing that I see new food trucks do, where they start out at apartment complexes and the VA hospital parking lot and stuff like that. And then they hope to get to a brewery eventually where there's high traffic. So you can go visit him at the VA and stuff like that.
Well, good fresh Greek food's amazing. So
his name is Alex Bax, B-A-X, which is short for Bexaveris. And his wife, who's unfortunately her name is escaping me right now, she was the pastry chef. So I'll find out if she made those pistachio things. Yeah.
I think if they're still here, we can talk them into making that again.
I think we should make that our mission, right? There's no reason for me to be crying.
It would be worth it. And then we could talk about it on the show.
Absolutely.
There you go.
We could have
even have some
on the show. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Things are happening. Plans are being hatched right now. This is why I wanted you to pop in and talk to us, Davine, because me and Rick will just drone on and on and on about a chicken wing for the whole hour.
Easy
least
there,
I will.
Alex. Easy. Yeah.
All right, so we're into the food news segment. Let me see what else we got for food news. Rick, do you have any food news?
I do, but I think it's not for a couple of weeks out. I know somewhere in the week of the 23rd, because that's my birthday. That week, I know Sandhill Kitchen is going to be taking a break, giving everybody like a week off, kind of like some other places recently. Okay. So otherwise, no, I don't have much food news this week.
All right, well, here's what I've got. I got the meat prices soared as predicted. Yeah. You remember last week I was like, there's going to be a meat shortage because was it JDS or something got
JBS.
hacked? JBS got hacked by criminal hackers called R Evil. Come on. And so that, sure enough, we saw a post on Facebook. I've never quite seen a restaurant just totally talk about their prices in such a blatant way. Usually it's something you don't really talk about that much, but they were like, meat is expensive now and prices are going to go up by $2 an item on our menu, everything with beef. And as a person who updates a lot of menus for the delivery company I work for, which is called Kickback, I see the prices go up. And Rick, you had asked me earlier if I saw meat prices go up on menus across the board, and I said, no, I didn't actually. But I did. I saw prices go up. I wasn't thinking only meat, but of course they raised the prices.
They may be spreading the price out across all their products, to account for the change. But
so here's the big question. Go ahead.
I was going to say, where we are, if you're a restaurant that tries to source locally, if you're somebody like a Haywood Common or a Bene on Eagle or something, and you're getting your meats from local providers here, you're not going to be affected. Maybe.
That's true.
Yeah.
I had wondered about supply and demand issues, like would the small meat farmers raise their prices because they could? And I guess that remains to be seen. I'm not sure how. I guess they already fixed the hack and all that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a short-lived thing, I believe.
So. Yeah. So the question is, will the prices come back down? Or will we just get used to these new incredibly high prices for beef? And then the question I posed, Rick, will it eventually end up that only the very wealthy get to eat beef and the rest of us have to settle for bricks of Soylent Green?
Soylent Green. And Tuesday, remember, Tuesday is Soylent Green Day.
The Soylent Green riots are coming, folks.
Soylent Green was one of those films that affected me deeply as a child.
Me too.
And I own a copy of Director's Cut. I watch it all the time.
Do you really?
I think about it. Oh yeah, I made Les sit, like she had never seen it, and I tried to get her to sit through it, and she wouldn't because it was too apocalyptic. But but to me, it's like it was the scariest thing when I was a kid. I was like, "What? You can't get meat?
Yeah.
Or tomatoes?"
Yeah, the precious tomato, right? Is it E.G. Robinson? Edward Robinson gets a tomato and cries because it's a real tomato.
And then he gets on his bike and powers their apartment up.
Yes, which that part I think we should implement right away. Like, come on, hook my exercise bike up to my TV because I'm either going to be in great shape or I'm going to stop wasting so much time watching TV. One or the other.
Yeah.
But the serious question is, are meat prices? I rarely see prices come down for anything except for gasoline. Like gas, they really like to toy with our emotions
pretty dynamically.
So. Yeah, but I thought, well, these hackers, they've hit gas and meat. It's like the all-American things, right? Like America crippled without gas or hamburgers. And so what's next? Is it going to be like the gun industry is going to get hacked and they're not going to be able to make guns or something like that? And America would freak out and there'll be lines around the block. Or maybe just me talking about it will cause the freak out about the guns. Because I've noticed the gun crowd, they freak out a lot and they stockpile. So I'm not saying that the gun hack is coming. I'm just saying What's next? It's going to be mom, apple pie, baseball, or guns.
Let's hope it's not apple pie.
Let's hope. We'd sooner sacrifice mom.
Yeah, and baseball.
And baseball. Definitely baseball. Come on.
So
there's no sport like hockey, Rick. All right. So other food news. It's cheese season. I know that cheese is kind of like year round, but I noticed the cheese places are all like, our new cheeses are coming out.
So, I guess because spring, new round of dairy. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe they've been aging all winter. I really don't know how cheese works, but Looking Glass Creamery posted
they're wonderful.
Yeah. Oh my God. And they posted a picture of a big wheel of Gouda cheese that was like red pepper flavored or something. It looked really, really tasty. And they were like, it just came out of the cave. And I just love the idea of the cheeses coming out of the cave.
Have you been to that cave yet? They have tours. I want to go.
I want to go too. Let's go to a cheese cave together, Rick.
Field trip.
Yeah, we'll make out with some
short
cheeses.
bus to Fairview or wherever they are.
Yeah, wherever they are. There used to be a tour called the Farm to Table Tour, and you'd visit 3 farms and you'd end up at a homestead farm. And the homestead was owned by a chef who would cook. So there was like a meal at the end of the tour. And one of the stops was a cheese farm. It was, I think it was Looking Glass, actually. It was goat cheese. And is that the goat cheese place? There's a couple of them. But you get to meet the goats, and then you meet the cheesemaker. And I was just telling somebody this the other day that is really funny because making cheese, you got to have this pristine environment. Like, can't let any contaminants into the cheese making facility at all. It has to be like sterile to the max. Yeah. And it's in the middle of this goat farm, which is full of goat piss and goats. And it smells terrible. And goats are just dirt. I love them. They're so cute, but they are dirty, filthy animals. And so it's just funny that there's like 12 acres of filth and then this pristine environment right in the middle of it. So
this reminds me of something, but I need to go get something. You two do the awesome thing. I'll be right back. It's another prop.
Me and Davine. Oh, he's getting another prop, Davine. Well,
so I did see where the ASAP tour. There's those doggies again. Those damn dogs. The ASAP tour is coming back again. The farm tour. That's where I saw the goat farm up there near around Madison County or somewhere up in there. I think that's where it is. Okay. Kind of north of town.
Okay, we started in Mars Hill, I believe. Is that north of town?
That's north. Okay. Yeah.
So
it's up that way somewhere, and I think it starts with an M. So I think that's the goat farm that we're thinking of that makes great cheese around town.
Great cheese. And you got to eat some cheese on the tour. That was fantastic. It's the best part of any tour.
Yeah, so that ASAP tour is coming back again, and that's when I went up there, but also went down to the Agers. Is it the Agers?
Jamie Ager. Yeah, the Hickory Nut Gap.
Hickory Nut Gap, where they were raising organic turkeys, and what a production that was.
Yeah.
So, Rick, what did you run away about?
Yeah, Rick, what'd you get?
So last weekend we hit the North Asheville Tailgate Market, which is the biggest farmers market in town, pretty much. Mm-hmm. That's really seasonal. And I ran into an acquaintance, guy named Chris that you may know. He's actually he used to work at Fifth Season, kind of a tall guy, big beard. And I recognized him because he'd helped me with a problem with my garden a couple of years ago. But he is now with Well Seasoned Table, which is out here in Candler. So props to the west side. And he works for Well Seasoned Table, and they make a lot of spices and teas and all sorts of wonderful things. And he's helping concoct some of their specialty blends of things. And he's come up with this in conjunction with the owners, this wild mushroom sea salt. Nice. And this has several different wild mushrooms in it, and ramp flakes.
Oh.
This is as Appalachian as it gets. Everything is sourced locally off the farm and around the farm. And it's wonderful. It goes great on steaks and burgers and every wonderful thing. So if you haven't checked out the Well Season or just wellseasonedtable.com, they are wonderful. And yeah, I wanted to give a shout out there. I totally forgot it earlier. So
cool. Well, that's great. I want to try that. I love mushrooms. Yeah. And
and they have tons of stuff. I got like Italian seasoning and some tea, and yeah, it's just fantastic.
Cool. I'll reach out for sure, man, and see what they got. And for anybody outside of Appalachia who just heard Rick use the word ramps, and so he's got some ramp flakes in there. A ramp is a local vegetable that only grows in this area. That's like an onion and a garlic had sex in the woods and had a baby.
A low child of garlic and onion in the woods.
In the woods, and that's the only place you can find them. They are not perennial; they are annuals, and so they don't come back.
They can be perennials if you have the right like woodland context. You can't grow them in your garden that way, but if you have like forest, you can actually forage them year over year.
So, but not necessarily in the same spot, or can you? Can you cultivate them in the woods?
Yeah.
Okay. Right on. Yeah. Now I've got these wild onions in my yard that are, God, it's like, yeah, they're awful. And people are like, oh, you can eat them. Yeah, there's lots of stuff you can eat.
Yeah.
But
and they're super hot and kind of bitter, and
they turn hard as rocks if you let them get too old. Yeah. And I always say, like, in other parts of the country, you mow your lawn and there's that beautiful smell of fresh mown grass. And here in Western North Carolina, all you can smell is onions.
Yeah.
Because fresh spring onions coming up in my yard all springtime long. Well, thanks for the little product endorsement. That's great. I love props. And I didn't have one this week. Nothing I can show the camera anyways.
The packaging on that is nice. Can you put the top up so people can see?
Oh, the top. Yeah, the artwork is lovely.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I've been following them for a while on Instagram, and I love everything about them. They are foodie friendly, and they are local farmers, and they actually source some of the ingredients from a different farm as well, and they call them out on their label. And I think that's really classy. Farmers helping farmers. So
I agree. So I always say that this town, the food scene, is full of more camaraderie than competitive nature.
It is, and it's really coming from a place where there was a good food scene and a lot of value on farm to table sort of things. To see the robust and close-knit community here is just wonderful. Like, I am so happy to be in this place for food. So,
you know who was impressed with our community, our food community here in Asheville, was the film crew for Dinner Impossible.
Yeah.
You like how I snuck that in?
That's really perfect.
Yeah, I met.
Here we are.
Yeah, I met Robert Irvine. He challenged me to a fist fight. I kicked his ass.
Look at you, Southie.
Yeah, no, he came at me, but I'll tell that at the end of the show. I got one more piece of food news, and that's our friends at Ben's Friends have announced the return of in-person meetings starting Monday, June 14th. They've been meeting through Zoom during the whole pandemic. Now,
okay. Right.
Ben's Friends is it's like AA specifically for the food industry. It's like people in the food industry. There's a lot of pressure to do drugs and drink in the food industry. Like, believe it or not, there's like peer pressure, like high school.
For good reason, actually, sometimes, but yeah.
Because of the stress that's involved. Yeah, it's a high stress job. And people tend to blow that steam off with alcohol and drugs. And I'm no stranger to blowing off steam with a little bit of alcohol and drugs myself, right? And I have not had a drink myself in 10 years. But yeah, it's a stressful life, and you got to do something, But Ben's Friends is a really good organization. They're nationwide, and they have a chapter here in Asheville, and people have been meeting online, but now you can meet in person. And I want to encourage anybody that's in the food industry struggling with drugs, alcohol, and other addictions to, look into Ben's Friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And now let's scroll back in time through my agenda, and let's do where'd you eat and what'd you cook?
All right.
Rick, why don't you go first?
So where to eat? I didn't really eat out much this week. I got some takeout from Sand Hill Kitchen, of course, because they're like one of my go-tos and they're close by. I got the wonderful buffalo chicken sandwich that is amazing.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite fried chicken sandwich in all town. And I turned on like a handful of people to it this week, talking to them. So that felt pretty good. And then we went to Green Tea Sushi the other night after I had my home water treatment facilities replaced. And see what else. I think that's. Oh, and we did last weekend. We had some chai pani. So
chai pani. One of the most
and cooking wise, I ate a lot of bacon because I made bacon. I smoked bacon last week. I had a lot of bacon this week. A lot of bacon. So
nothing wrong with that. The doctors, 9 out of 10 doctors will agree that the more bacon you eat, the healthier you'll be and the longer you'll live. I have personally I've been doing a 55-year study on the
You've hurt Devine there.
They'll say that she died from bacon, but it was just from a joke about bacon. Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. And Rick, you brought me so much bacon that my eyes literally popped out of my head and rolled around on the floor. You handed me just a pile of bacon this afternoon, and I was like, I thought at first you were like,
all for you, man.
That's what I thought you were going to say when you gave it to me, like distribute this amongst the poor.
Well, I did. I said, give half to your mom.
You did. So. Yeah. She's not poor. Come on. I get to keep her bacon. She can buy some. No, I'll share it with my mom. And speaking of bacon and delicious bacon, and it looked like you brought me some of the ends of the bacon again.
Oh, yeah. It's good for soups and green beans and rice and beans. And, yeah, pretty much anything you can put it on.
All right. There you go.
I used some of his bacon ends this weekend to cook at home with a corn chowder dried soup mix from World Market.
Okay, Davey.
And with andouille sausage. I order andouille sausage from the Cajun grocer down in Louisiana.
I order from them too.
Do you?
I do.
I like the Cajun grocer. And so I made this great corn and potato chowder with you saute the bacon. I mean, you cook the bacon and you saute the onions in that, and put that soup together. It only takes a half an hour to make it.
Yeah, did it turn out good?
So well, here's the thing. They're starting to have these great little soup mixes all over town. I first got acquainted with them from Fresh Market, and then during pandemic, we didn't travel much down to South Asheville, so we started going back to World Market because they've got a great food section, and they have They have a ton of these prepackaged dried soups that you put together in half an hour.
That's great.
So that's what I cooked, and it was good.
Very good.
Excellent. Yay!
Especially because of Rick's bacon.
Yay! Spreading bacon, spreading love.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe one day I'll raise pigs. We'll see.
And one day you say to the pigs, it's time to turn into bacon.
Yes.
It's time to
begin your bacon journey.
Yes.
My husband raised pigs in New Hampshire, and he's felt guilty the rest of his life that he had sweetie pie killed and made into pork.
You know what?
It's not for the faint of heart. It's tough.
You can't get attached to them.
No. And they're
we had hogs and chickens when I was growing up. So
I had a cat.
Did you eat your cat?
No.
Good. I'm glad you said no.
No, not as far as I know. It just disappeared one day. Who knows what was in that pot roast?
I found out after I grew up. I grew up where I know how to kill a chick. I know how to wring its neck and pluck it and dress it. I know how to do all of that because I grew up. We did that. Mm-hmm. And then I found out when I grew up that I couldn't eat any chickens that I knew.
By name?
So something changed through the years because we had this rooster who was just a bad rooster. And we was like, oh, well, let's eat that thing. And I couldn't
do it. Couldn't even eat Rowdy the Rooster, even though he was so much trouble.
We ate one of our roosters that flogged me. My mother was there when I was feeding, and he came at me, spurs up. We called him Bill after my Uncle Bill because they were both mean SOBs. And he flogged me, and she just grabbed him by the neck and just snap. Yeah, and then we had Bill for dinner.
Bill for dinner.
And you know what? He was tough and nasty.
Yeah.
Just like in real life.
Yeah.
Well, I made chicken and dumplings out of this chicken, and so I couldn't eat it when I cooked it. And then said, well, maybe if I put it in the freezer for a few months, I'll forget. And I tried it, and I still couldn't eat it.
Oh, Davey,
I like your strategizing, though. That's great.
Maybe the spirit will go away.
Yeah. Geez, what else you got in your freezer, Davey? Or should I say, who else?
No ex-husbands yet.
No, okay, that's what I was really asking. That's what I was getting at.
No, not yet.
Okay, not yet. Oh, Herb, better keep in line.
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot this week, and for one thing, I've learned don't mess with Rick's mom. That is one thing. She'll wring your neck and put you on the dinner table.
She was country as country gets.
That's great, man. I like that. She was like, "You mess with my kid, your dinner."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like that too. And I don't have any kids, and so I'll have to be just go looking for trouble with a rooster somewhere.
Well, you know me, I can find trouble. I'm an instigator.
You are. What did the food truck people said to us? Get in the good kind of trouble? Is that what they said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Get in the good kind of trouble. So, okay.
Speaking of food trucks, this is your time, brother.
Well, I still have to do my own where'd you eat, what'd you cook?
Oh.
Yeah,
sorry.
Because I went to some places. I went to Cornerstone Cafe or Cornerstone Restaurant, I think it's called. And I went with my boss, Jenny, from Kickback. And I often in my head get the Cornerstone Kitchen confused with the Stony Knob restaurant.
Ah, okay. Up in Weaverville. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought we were going to Stony Knob, and we end up at Cornerstone. And I couldn't get over my disappointment, Rick.
Oh.
Just couldn't do it. So let's move on. Let's move on to the next place I ate. And I went
Well done, my friend.
And I went to the Sunset Terrace, the beautiful Sunset Terrace. Yeah. Famous for its beautiful views and its mediocre food. Let's just put that right out there. But there are some delicious things on the menu if you know what to order. And my mom always gets the lobster cod salad, and that's what she got. And she just raves and raves and raves about it. And I got a pastrami sandwich. I'm actually not sure why they didn't go ahead and call it a Reuben. It seemed to be a Reuben to me. Maybe it was missing some crucial element that I didn't notice. Huh. But it was good. It wasn't great. It was certainly tasty, and I enjoyed it. No complaints. And the French fries were well done and crispy, and they were good. And we also got creme brulee for dessert, a citrus
Their
creme
brulee is very good, actually.
It was bomb. It was good. Really good. Highly recommend. A nice, hard, thick shell. Not too thick, not too thin.
Not
shell.
too thick. Perfect.
Yeah. And the citrus element really adds something to it because creme brulee, and it's a fairly large portion of creme brulee, I couldn't even finish it actually. And usually creme brulee will start to cloy like way before I'd be halfway done with that. But the citrus keeps it from being too cloying. And I am a big creme brulee fan. That's why I got it. So it was delish. Highly recommend. But the highlight of the meal, and the reason why we segued into the food, where'd you eat, what'd you cook, was because the highlight of the meal were these pork rillons. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Or let me say it like an American. They were pork rillons, and the rillons were real good. And I didn't know what a rillon was. Obviously, don't even know how to pronounce it, so I didn't know what it was. And there were 5 of us at the table, two people in their like over 70, the other 3 in their 50s. So no, and world travelers, eaters alike, and none of us had heard of a rillon. And so we asked the server, and he didn't know either, which I thought was kind of funny. I was like, how can we be the only people who have asked this guy what a rillon is? And how come he didn't ask what the hell's a rillon? And he basically answered the question. He said it's pork belly, and that's what it was pretty much. But like small cubes of pork belly, and a rillon is specific spices or flavors of garlic and specific things. And boy, oh boy! And it had chow chow on it, and they were so good, like so good, like chewy, kind of caramelized and sticky on the outside, and the fat, like there was loads of fat on them, and it was just melty as could be. It just melted away, and like the people from Arizona or they were from Texas, and they were like, "Are you supposed to eat the fat?" I was like, "You're in North Carolina now. You eat the fat. Like the fat is what you're here for. Like the meat is just attached to the fat." Like,
well, and I think I told you, it's like I love to take rillon and just smear it on some warm French bread.
Yeah.
And with like a glass of rosé, and just it's like a perfect summer picnic. And it's usually, sometimes it'll be canned like in a little fancy glass jar, a little French glass jar. And they'll use the pork fat to kind of like you would use gelatin if you were doing beef or something like that.
Right.
And it's wonderful. It's like, I've had it at a couple of French places in Seattle, and it's always so good. So,
ladies and gentlemen, the world's greatest eater, Rick Crelia. He knew. Not only did he know what rillons were, but he's eating them. He's got a specific way he likes to eat them. He knows that they come in a jar, which I left out of my description, but they're actually a preserve. And
they're preserved.
Meant to be preserved. If you seal them properly, your rillons will last you a couple of months. They'll last you into the
winter sort of thing. Yeah.
So right on, Rick knows his stuff, right?
Well, I know pork fat, that's for sure.
Again, like Western North Carolina, we're in the pork belt. We're in the fattiest part of the pork belt, I think, in the western part, where we're just like it's mountainy. It's hard to walk anywhere. Let's just eat pork fat and have some sweet tea. So now the best part about eating at the Sunset Terrace is the view. It's up there at the Grove Park Inn, historic inn. Gorgeous building in Asheville, North Asheville. People who visit Asheville, whether they stay at the inn or not, should go up there and visit it. Eat at one of the 3 restaurants. For outdoor dining, the balcony, the Sunset Terrace, it's called, where we ate. Great outdoor dining, great view. You can see all of Asheville, like the whole downtown, plus parts of North Asheville and stuff. And the other restaurants are Edison, which is like sort of an indoor version of the Sunset Terrace. And I'm like, of the 3 up there, I'm the least in Edison because it doesn't have the outdoor factor. And it's not View 1913, which is the other restaurant up in there, which is like phenomenal, world-class food and service, like bar none in Asheville. Like even the fanciest of the fancy pants restaurants, like the only one who's come close with service and food has been, in my estimation, is Night Bell. And Night Bell not around anymore. But the View 1913, it's like a hidden gem. Like it's hard to find in the inn itself, And Don and I have only eaten there twice because it's pricey, but they actually invite us. They're like, "Oh, Stu, we know you got an anniversary coming up. Come eat. The chef wants to style you out and stuff." And so it makes it more affordable when they don't bring you a bill. And so that's always nice. And then take fabulous pictures. And both times we ate there for our 10th anniversary and our 15th anniversary, so a 5-year gap. But both times I gave it my Meal of the Year award, and just phenomenal food. Like, save your pennies, bring your credit card, sell grandma, whatever you got to do. Get on down there. And so those are the 3 restaurants up there at the Grove Park Inn.
There's 4.
Oh, there's 4? What's it?
The Blue Ridge.
Oh, the Blue Ridge Room. I always forget about the Blue Ridge Room.
I love the Blue Ridge.
It's a little more
too.
casual, right?
It's very casual.
It's great. They do a great Sunday brunch.
They do.
It's a great place to take people for Sunday brunch, and you can get some of the great views there in the Blue Ridge Room, like you get at Sunset Terrace, except that you're inside. We always ask for a window table, and when guests come to town, that's one of our favorite places to take them, because that brunch is the bomb.
I'll have to get back there. I haven't been to the Blue Ridge Room in probably 10 or maybe even like 15 years. Mm-hmm. I kind of forgot about it. It's in the newer part of the building. Like there's the original part built in, I think,
on those wings, on those long wings.
Yeah. So it's got a different feel, and it's got a brunch, like a buffet. They still do the buffet. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for the listening crowd, like, this place, the Grove Park Inn, is a small scale replication of the Yellowstone Lodge, which I don't know if you guys know.
I did not know that.
It is. It's almost exact replica, small scale. And at some point, when his wife was in a sanatorium here, F. Scott Fitzgerald, one of America's greatest writers, lived at the hotel.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's pictures of them, and I think there's like something dedicated to it.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place to go.
There's a little desk and stuff set up to look like, I don't know if it was actually his writing desk.
I think it was his room or something like there. So they preserved it. But
God, it's amazing.
All of the arts and crafts furnishings there. It was the arts and crafts movement with Roycroft and Stickley Furniture. That hotel is filled with that just incredible arts and crafts furniture. They've got just to go sometimes, when this wintertime, whenever, on a Saturday afternoon, if you don't have anything planned to do, it's great to just go there, hang out in the lobby where they make these great fires in these huge fireplaces, and just sit there and have some coffee or a drink and people watch. And it's a real jewel that we have in Asheville.
It is.
I agree with every word you just said. It's Dawn and I have stayed there many times, like for a couple of days. We stayed there once for 4 days, and we didn't leave the hotel complex at all because there's a cafe that opens early in the morning. So I'm down there having coffee, and then we didn't even go to the Blue Ridge Room, but we ate at the other restaurants, and I wish I had remembered the Blue Ridge Room. It's kind of far. It's a rangy hotel, right? Like, you'll be walking around, you'll be like, I didn't even know this part was here. There's like a piano bar and everything in the basement that, like, I've never been in. I've only looked through the windows, and it's creepy.
When I first moved here in 89, it closed in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And so then it started opening all year round. It looks to me like they added those 2 wings that are not anything the same as the stone building back maybe in the 60s.
Looks that way, 60s or 70s.
60s.
Yeah.
So, but and I agree that the Blue Ridge Room is a little difficult to get to, but it's worth a trek down one of those long hallways.
Now I'm going to go.
Yeah.
You guys, I think we're about to run out of time on the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes, so let's get to the food truck rally story.
Well, I was going to tell everybody that I would maybe talk about meeting Robert Irvine next week.
Okay. All right.
Because I still had one more thing that I ate, and that's something I cooked. And the thing I ate was I got more food from Nani's Chicken. And they've got a new menu with a few new sides, and they brought me all of them. Check out the new menu. And I cooked steak all week. You know how I do. I tried to make a cheesesteak, and it came out terrible. And I posted the
cheesesteaks are not easy.
I thought the bread failed me. Like I bought what I thought would be a nice soft hoagie, but it was toasted and hard already before I even got it home, and it threw me way off my game, and so it threw off. But I posted to Show Me Your Sandwich, the Facebook group. There's one called Show Me Your Sandwich. I don't know if we've talked about it before, but it's just a Facebook group where you show people your sandwiches. But it's popular for people to show for women to show their cleavage or almost their whole breasts. And now the men have started doing topless pictures of, because they can show their whole boobs, you know? And so the men are all showing their boobs and showing their sandwiches. And I showed my boobs in my sandwich, and people made fun of my sandwich. Ooh. And one guy made fun of my boobs.
I was going to join the group, but I don't think I am now.
It's not required to show your boobs.
Okay.
Well, I want to thank what a great way to end the show. So next week, I'll talk about how I flattened Robert Irvine in the parking lot of the pizzeria. He came at me like a bat out of hell, and I just laid him out flat like that. And I said, there you go. There's a dinner impossible for you. No, that didn't happen. None of that happened. I ate some stuff.
Yeah.
And he was there, and he came right at me, and I have pictures of him. He was like coming right at me, and everybody was like, is he gonna punch Stu? Like, what's happening? And he's very aware of what's going on. So I think he knew I was taking pictures of him. So he purposely made a beeline towards me, right past me, and started harassing the taco truck behind me, calling them out, like, come on out, your tacos are terrible. Like, I can't do his accent. So he was very aggressively taunting me.
Which taco truck was it? Tell me it wasn't Munoz.
Tacos and Taps.
Okay, that's fine.
Not really like
he can beat them up, but
their tacos were actually really good. So if he beats them up, at least let me eat a few tacos first. And then later on, when I was judging the desserts, everybody was, and I was being filmed and shit like that. I might be on the show. I'm predicting they'll cut me out of the final edit for sure, because I'm not the most attractive, especially when it's 1,000 degrees out and I'm in the blazing hot sun judging ice cream desserts and stuff, and they're melting rapidly, and I'm all like, and so as I was doing that, I heard somebody yelling, and it was him. He was yelling at me from across the parking lot. Judge wisely, judge wisely. I don't know how to react. I think he wanted me to like dust it up a little bit with him, but I just kind of shook my head and was like, I'm doing the best I can in these incredibly hot and sunny circumstances. You muscle-bound, violent, belligerent man. There you go. I told the story after all.
Okay.
I'm not sure if any of that got recorded.
Who is this guy anyway?
He's a celebrity chef from the Food Network. He's famous for a show called Dinner Impossible that then transitioned to Restaurant Impossible. But he was in town taping a weird episode of Dinner Impossible. And he's famously built like
I saw the picture.
Yeah, he's built like a
buff for an Englishman.
Buff for an Englishman. Listen to that. American prejudice coming out of you. I'll have you know that the greatest bare-knuckle boxer of the 1800s was
Irish.
I'm just joking around. Those English people, they don't have
Irish.
Scottish. Maybe he was Scottish.
Oh, wait a minute now, Davine. I got some Scottish in me. Let's leave them out of it. They're beautiful people.
Are we off? We got a little bit left. All right.
We can go over a few minutes because we got late. Started a few minutes late, so
okay.
Got about 2 minutes to say bye because of
my really? You got about 10 more minutes of the show?
Two.
Two. Okay. I was like 10 minutes.
Because of my slow start.
Well, let me tell you more about this Robert Irvine guy. he is also famous for padding his resume in a big way, and he got busted big time, and it looked like he was going to get sort of shamed out of the business, but he kind of owned it. He was like, I did that. And he's like, so who wants to watch another episode of Dinner Impossible? And everybody was like, we do. And so it ended up not affecting his career one bit, as far as I can tell. Although every post I made, somebody in the comment section said, isn't that the guy? Isn't that the guy who lied about his resume? And I'm like, questions like that drive me nuts, because it's like, what are you asking? Like, just Google it if you're really curious. Isn't that the guy? Like, just that's the way to find out if that's the guy.
It's kind of passive aggressive.
It's very passive aggressive, Rick. That's what I think as well. But he's just very aggressive. Like, that's his shtick. He's like, rah, 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 rah.
He does have a shtick. Yeah.
You know what? I forgot to ask him, and I posted this. I forgot to ask him for advice about my imaginary restaurant.
About puke.
Yeah. Because that's what he does, Davine. He gives people advice about their restaurants that are failing. And so Jenny, my boss, is thinking about opening a restaurant, so she got some advice from him. And I just stood there like a dolt while he gave her advice. The whole time, I should have been saying, I just want to see his face when I say, I've got an imaginary restaurant named Puke. I need all the advice.
The pork and beans martini is my favorite there.
Oh, man. I like the blue eggs and ham. They didn't start out that way. But, you know. I would imagine we're getting close to the 2-minute mark, so I want to say thanks to Rick and Davine. And Davine, it's always a real pleasure when you join us.
Oh, shucks. Thanks.
I love it.
Thank you, Davine.
Thank you. I'm going to end the broadcast.